What's good, everybody? Little old school video here. I did an Instagram poll and y'all wanted me to review the new Godzilla movie, Godzilla vs. Kong, and that movie was trash. I'm a big time Godzilla fan, as you can tell. I've been watching these movies since I was a kid, had a bunch of the VHSs. I've been so tempted to collect Monster Arts Godzilla figures, but they're so damn expensive. And also, don't ask me to do more of these videos because I will flood this channel with Godzilla reviews. Yeah, this movie sucked. Like, the American Godzilla movies just can't get it together, man. Like, it's just really disappointing because especially now that they have the technology, but then like, okay, so like modern Japanese movies just don't seem to have an animation budget or whatever compared to their American counterparts. It's just strange, like when you watch certain Japanese movies outside of the monster franchise and the CGI is weird, but this one we have great CGI, but it just bland and soulless. But then like Shin Godzilla is a masterpiece and one of my favorite movies of all time, and I need that Shin Godzilla purple monster arch figure, but it's sold out because all the fat nerds like me bought it. Anyway, let's go through the franchise. So, the first 2014 Godzilla, A plus Godzilla scenes, great, amazing. Kick-Ass was a wooden block with a face painted on it. I cannot care, and I was bored during that movie. King of the Monsters was a really good movie if you didn't watch it. This one, it's just a little better than King of the Monsters. King of the Monsters was so damn stupid, but the best movie out of this franchise is Kong, just because Kong was so stupid and they ran with it, and so that made it enjoyable. But this movie, like, I'm not gonna pick apart the plot too much because what plot is there? Like, all the characterization is stupid. Like, it's like, oh, here's one character who's an engineer who knows about the secret conspiracy. Okay. Oh, but he's black, and he has a conspiracy podcast, and he can't stop shooting one-liners. What about his partners? Oh, one of them's a fat white kid, and who's just memeing all the time. And then we have the girl from Stranger Things who's a straight edge. Okay. What about the military other main character? Just dude, military man, no personality. I'm not even sure if he has a name. His he has a wife who I thought died during the movie, but then I saw her again, like, oh my god, that was a separate white woman. And it was just bad. It was just dumb. All the human stuff was dumb. There was that little girl talking to Kong, but so let's focus on the important stuff. The monster scenes, terrible. Like, did Godzilla shrink? Because I know like seawater disperses radioactivity and everything. Like if you look at Bikini Islands where they did a lot of bombing tests, like they were afraid they're gonna go back there and the ecosystem was gonna be wrecked, but it actually came back because salt water was able to diffuse that. So did Godzilla shrink? Because like in the first movie, his back was larger than like military cruisers, and Kong is on a cargo ship in this movie. Military cruisers and cargo ships aren't that big of a difference in size. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but still, that would mean like Kong is like a baby compared to Godzilla. Godzilla can just hold it in its arms. But then like they fight on the cargo ship. Was that like a super big fancy sci-fi cargo ship? I doubt it because that little girl looked like the size of a tooth compared to Kong. And they kind of do a cardinal sin where the way they get Godzilla to stop beating Kong is through weapons, like through missiles. When in every Godzilla franchise, except for Zilla, he just tanks them. It just shows how scary he is because missiles can't do anything to Godzilla. And then like the Hollow Earth stuff with Kong, like why did they go through a space time portal to go inside the Earth? But then when they exited to go to China, well Hong Kong, they don't have to go through a space time portal. They just crawl up there like it's like a 2 mile crawl or something like that. If even that, how close is the Hollow Earth to the surface of the Earth? Don't our sewage pipelines go down further than that? I don't know, man. But the Hollow Earth was not great. It should have just focused on that, if anything. But then, like, when we see Kong fight those admittedly cool Viper things, he needs help from the humans to get out of it. So it's like, what chance does Kong stand to fight it? And then the ending was like Mechagodzilla, and like he has control by King Ghidorah's head and this Asian pilot and a computer system, and the pilot fritzes out immediately. But for some reason, the computer system, they put coffee on that, it sorts out Mechagodzilla so they can beat him. But why would a computer system be enough to control all of Mechagodzilla? Why doesn't he have any internal circuitry? And why didn't the agent pilot do that to him? Or why didn't the Skull? There's just too many questions. But let's get to fight choreography. And I don't mean like fight choreography in the sense of like blah 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 like those action kung fu movies. But in kaiju and like in anime fights, I like to kind of think of them as like a turn-based battle, like an RPG, where they each go back and forth and they pit their special moves against each other to see what's effective. Like I rewatched the scene from Godzilla vs. Biollante, the final fight, where Biollante throws its tendrils at Godzilla and Godzilla, destroys him. Cool. Then Biollante gets closer to Godzilla, and it uses like these new tentacle suckers that are more aesthetic, and it goes through his hand, it goes through his shoulder. Oh, okay, so it can't handle. It went through my first wave, now the second. Then Godzilla counters that with his radioactive breath, but then Biollante uses its own acidic breath, and it's just back and forth between skills, and that's fun to see. And it gives you like an idea of how strong the creatures are as well, and their abilities, and it gives like a progression, and so you can kind of segment out the fight. But here, it's just punching, so you don't really have a lot in your mind to like really differentiate the beginning of the fight to the end of the fight. You just kind of remember who won, which is always Godzilla, and it just doesn't make it too. What's this bug doing here? It doesn't make it too interesting. Like for example, Mechagodzilla does use like its weird, stupid grapple arms and its tail, but it's just like a kind of a weird like one-off scene. It should have been more intricate. Like for example, for Mechagodzilla in the original movies, it's about how, hey, how do I get past Mechagodzilla's like protective field? How do I get past his spinning head laser, or like his missiles? Oh, we finally got past that. Oh God, he has an atomic breath of his own, and it's that constant escalation of aggression that we really don't get in these movies. That just makes it look like mush. So the actual choreography of the punching is not even that interesting, and it's just a boring movie. And I swear, Mechagodzilla's frame rate is lower than the rest of the monsters in this movie. Now I watched this movie illegally. I watched this movie through streaming, so maybe that had something to do with it. But like, it just didn't look good, man. And Kong was just like a non-thing in this movie. Like, he was the central character, but like he just was so weak until he got that axe, and it was just. Also, by the way, characters leave the spaceship to go out into this radiation field that's glowing around Kong. They would have been dead immediately. But whatever. Also, let's compare it to another movie when like the fight in Hong Kong. It's just in Hong Kong. Like there's a night one and then there's a daytime one, but the problem with it just feels like the fight is taking in place of just a few blocks. You don't really get a good size for the characters, to be honest. It's like the bad tokusatsu where the characters are fighting and it's just the mat, or like they don't do the upward angle. So it's like, how big are these characters? A great example of this progression, also scene progression, would be in Pacific Rim, where like they fight in the bay, some robots die, then they fight in the city, and then they go to the sky. But this constant moving around of location and different sets and just like the same fight just kind of give you an idea of like, yeah, when these massive characters move, when they move, they're gonna go across like the whole damn city or to a different location entirely. When you keep these two monsters in the same block, it's kind of the same problem with Dragon Ball Z, where it's like, okay, these characters are supposed to be stupidly strong, but they're still fighting above a lake. Why aren't they like, they can take out planets in previous forms? Why aren't they just zipping around the Earth, or why isn't their punches sending them all the way to this other side of the continent? It just makes the fight feel really small when you keep it to one centralized location. So I never really got a great depth of scale like I did in the first movie. I never got a great depth of power because you never really see them fight anything else except for Kong getting his ass beat. And like, how strong is Mechagodzilla? How strong is Godzilla in this movie? I guess he killed all the Titans, but we didn't see those fights. It'd been cool to see Godzilla and King Kong fight them separately to get an idea of power scaling, but it's all just kind of mush and bland, unfortunately. Also, kind of a funny scene in the end where Hong Kong is completely destroyed and all the white characters are like, oh yeah, we saved the day. The Earth is saved by Godzilla. And probably, I bet in the background, meanwhile, China's like, okay, let's give Hong Kong their independence now because we don't want to pay for this. But yeah, it was not a good movie, and it was just a nothing movie, and I wouldn't recommend it. There's a lot of neon for some reason. But yeah, that's my review of Godzilla versus King Kong. If you have a Shin Godzilla figure for sale by Montage with the purple lasers from that one scene, I will buy it off you.